All right, gang, in this video, it's going to be a fun one. I'm going to cover the top 5 breeds, and guess what for? See that? To avoid. Top 5 breeds to avoid. Like I said, this comes from nearly 30 years of gathered information, and this isn't about dogs that become aggressive. You know, that could be a completely different list. This is basically just taking everything into account, taking on, high trainability, low trainability. Certain breeds, certain herding breeds are very intelligent. There's other breeds that, you got to do a lot more training into. You got to put a lot more of emotion in yourself into. So a lot of this comes into play when deciding the top 5 breeds to avoid. But basically what I wanted to say is what this means is, let's say I am taking a call about a potential client. And obviously we get to the point of, what's your breed? And my reaction when one of these 5 are mentioned is kind of like, okay, still be done, still be trained. They just make things a little bit harder. And, and again, for a professional trainer, behavior expert, that type of thing, these breeds, they shouldn't be an issue. But when you need to train them and you need to be able to train mom and dad and everyone needs to be on the same page, these breeds can wreak havoc. Okay, so let me jump in. Dachshunds, they're a pain in the butt. They really are. I've had a Dachshund Chihuahua mix. We had one for 22 years, little Lucy. She was fantastic. Training though, she wasn't that kind of dog, you know what I mean? And I have some notes that I kind of gathered from ChatGTP. We all know how fantastic that is. But what I did is, these are the 5 that I came up with just from my experience, and then I went to ChatGTP and said, help me with a little bit of a headline and to explain why. And so here's what they came up with, all right? Dachshund, people see cute, trainers or experts see stubborn, vocal, and tough to motivate. Bred to fight underground, and it shows when you try to tell them no. And they can really just be a pain, guys. And like I said, this is coming from a trainer's standpoint. Could you imagine, just owners who don't understand a lot of the things that we understand, and like the long dachshunds, the little legs, they think they're cute, and you know what I mean, that I thought they were too, you know what I mean, I still do, and they're fantastic dogs. I'm not knocking the breed by any means. It's just they can be a pain in the butt to train. They really can. Here's something very similar too. Let me jump into number 4. Rat Terrier. Man, you talk about bundle of energy. They remind me a lot of the Min Pin, which is also on this list. It's ranked down a little bit farther, or up higher, I guess I should say. But your Rat Terriers, and I'm gonna read exactly the notes from ChatGTP, and I was like, bam, they nailed it. Look at this. Hyper intelligent, hyper reactive, and built for movement. Have you ever seen a Rat Terrier? Have you ever tried to own one or train one? They are constantly, they're right here. They're constantly scanning for something to chase, bark at, or dominate. And they're just go. You talk about causing stress levels in a trainer and owners. Have a Rat Terrier around for a little while. And a lot of people who have Rat Terriers for some reason have 2. I've never figured that out, but a lot of times when you get calls about Rat Terriers, people have more than one because they're a fan of the breed, obviously. And again, I'm not knocking any of these breeds. They're all fantastic dogs, and they can all be trained to very high levels, all these breeds. What I'm trying to say here is that some of these just make things a lot harder on you, are the ones that are going to give you the most trouble. All right, so let's get into number 3. That's a Bull Terrier, Spuds MacKenzie Bull Terrier. A lot of times they have like the black dot over one eye. They have the long nose, long muzzle, I should say. And this breed has always been one that my wife and I have joked about. We actually had one that came and stayed in our home. His name was Sammy, because he had some weird issues going on, really. And that was my first, and this was many years ago, but it was my first insight to a Bull Terrier, like living with them. I had trained many, and I would always said, oh man, these things are hard. And you know why? You got a bully breed and you got terriers. Now you got them together in one breed. Bully breeds are known for being kind of, you know what I mean? You butt heads, or you butt heads a lot, that kind of thing. They're bully breeds. They can be very stubborn. We can make a whole list, 5 of breeds to avoid, and just terriers. But what we've done with the Bull Terriers, we've combined the bully breeds and the terriers. And like I said, this dog, I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to own one, spend some time with one, or even train one. But again, they take a special person. They take a special kind of, to understand, to not get frustrated with this dog. to guide them, to lead them. Wild energy, impulse control issues, and a total clown, but not the kind that's easy to manage. I don't know if I really agree with that. These dogs can flip from hilarious to havoc in seconds. They're really like weird. It's kind of, my thing is like, it's hard to figure them out. What are they thinking about? What is he doing? Okay, now he's doing that. It's like they're kind of all over the place. And, you know, they're stubborn. They can be very, you know, when you're trying to get into a reinforcing phase and tell them, look, I'm not going to just keep bribing you. You really need to do this. You know, these guys can be very bullheaded. Then you got the terrier on top of that. I mean, it just makes for, like I said, someone calls and, you know, I'm getting into asking questions and the breed and they say bull terrier. I usually go, all right, there comes another one. We'll still knock it out. It's just a little bit harder. All right, so let's get into the next one. Woo! You talk about a bundle of energy, a little firecrackers, and the same with the rat terriers. Most people who have min pins have more than one. If you've ever been to a park and seen someone who owns a min pin, they usually have a couple. They're very high, they're energy, they're very vocal. You can hear them coming, you can see them going, and you know what I mean? Tiny body, huge ego. Reactive, bold, and not afraid to start trouble they can't finish. Most people underestimate how serious this little dog can get. And that's true. Min pin, I'd stay away. That's just my personal preference and experience, but I've trained many of them to high levels. But again, it's one of these things is like, look, if this dog was mine, I can get them to high levels a lot easier. But when you got to work with owners and get them to understand what they need to do to have a min pin, that's where you start running into trouble. We need to work with owners and get them to understand what they need to do to, you know, to have a bull terrier fulfilled every day. That's where you're starting to, you know, if you're a good trainer, if you're a good expert, that's what you should be doing is training mom and dad. It's not really about these dogs. And the last one here, guys, Chow Chow. I know several people that have been bitten by this breed. I've trained several. I know trainers that have trouble with this breed. It's a hard breed to read just because of the kind of the structure. If you guys know what a chow is, official name is Chow Chow. Cat dog hybrid with a side of unpredictability. Aloof, hard to read, and can go from zero to bite with almost no warning signs for casual owners. And that's exactly right. You got to be able to read body language. If you're going to work in any depth with these dogs, you really need to understand body language, understand kind of the way they work, what they're bred to do, and keep them fulfilled, because when you don't, they can come unwound on you in a hurry, and it could be a mess, you know. Again, I'm not telling anyone to stay away from the Chow or any of these other 4 breeds that I, you know, quickly listed. I'm just saying that as, you know, with the list of breeds that's out there, and there are tons, there are so many breeds that owners could have so much more success with than going and getting some of these that I listed here. And I'm not saying that these breeds should be banned or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. Fantastic in the right hands with knowledgeable people to understand what needs to happen with these breeds. But I'm saying, if you took the big picture, all the breeds, these 5 are by far, in my opinion, the damn hardest things to train. And that doesn't mean because they're aggressive. They can all be aggressive, all 5. But it just means that the way you communicate with them, for me, it's just been a little bit harder. They're weird, they're shifty, you know, there's little things going on in there that's like, man, these dogs, you know. So I think what it does though, it's also a challenge when I get this call. It's like, all right, I got me another chow, let's do it, that kind of thing. But anyway, those are my 5. I'm not saying stay away from them, but these are 5 that I wouldn't own personally, just because I know what it takes to keep them fulfilled. I know what it takes to get them trained to the level you want them trained, and to keep them trained, to keep them maintained. That's the hard part. You know, this isn't just a month here, a month there. This is a long time to own a dog. You know, it's a dog ownership. So, you know, be prepared. You know, use some awareness and make the right decision. All right, Coach Casey here. Hopefully you dropped your opinion of the chow in the comments, but what I'm gonna do in the comments as well is I'm gonna pin my link to the website where I have a short video of me explaining my 6-phase training system. And it works for all breeds, even these 5, all ages, all temperaments, and it will get you the results you want, even if you choose one of these 5. All right, guys, so check out that link in the pinned comment below, and I'll catch you next time.